Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in the last episode, we built a blacksmith and did a little bit of mining. And in today's episode, we're going to be getting some farming and automation started. So before we get started with today's episode, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who pointed out that we can actually get started with trading in the trade system now. So apparently under the shipments tab, under this early shipping, you can actually turn in 30 coins and you get a trade station and a sterling dynamo to actually run the trade system. And that's repeatable. So for every 30 coins we get, we can actually get a new trade system. So I think we actually do have enough from that. So yeah, we got 64 coins. So that's actually enough to buy the trade system as well as a profession. So let's actually just go ahead and do that. So we'll buy our trade system. We get the trade station and a sterling dynamo. And then we're also going to go ahead and buy the fisherman profession, which will allow us to actually do some trading. So we'll also go ahead and grab all of our fish. So basically I'm going to grab anything that I have more than 3 of, because it says you need 3 fish to trade. And then we'll also grab something that can be smelted, because the sterling dynamo essentially runs off of basically fuel. So we'll grab a little bit of spruce wood. So we're just going to place a sterling dynamo facing into the trade system, feed it some wood, and now what I can do is I can put in our profession and then start trading some fish. Okay, so apparently, oh, that's bad news. Apparently they upped this from 3 fish to 8 fish. Well, that is disappointing. I still think that this is going to be a pretty decent early game source of coins, but that means we're going to have to do a little bit more work than I thought, and we're going to have to get some fishing going sooner than later. So there are actually a few more things that I wanted to highlight in our quest book. First off, I actually completed 2 of these lifesaver quests. The first one is to have the Immersive Map, which is basically collecting or crafting an antique atlas. So I was actually able to find an antique atlas. And basically what that is it's like the FDB map, so you can press M to get this map, but it's kind of just a more realistic version where you have this like little book you can open up, and it still lets you like set waypoints and like see where like villages are and everything, but it's just a little more immersive and a little bit better. So I'll probably be trying to use the Antique Atlas as much as possible versus the FTB map. And the other thing I did was I actually crafted up a toolbox. That was just to kind of help me get started with collecting all of our wood and stone for building the blacksmith of the last episode. Now there's 2 here that I actually am going to be focusing on today. So one is friend. It says placing a carved pumpkin on a hay bale creates a straw golem. So I'll try to do this today because it says that it helps growing our crops or taking care of them. And farming is a big thing we're going to be doing today. So I think that'll help us get started with that. And then we'll also probably craft a stove and kind of get into some farmer's delight and do a little bit of cooking as well as our farming today. So we've got a very big episode ahead of us. So there's a lot of farming that I actually want to get fully automated today. The first one is I want to take this pond and get our kelp and rice fully automated. So I've got an idea that we're going to kind of expand this little pond, and we're going to be growing kelp and rice and be automating that in its own little closed system, so we can get lots of rice for food and then have the kelp for all of our create contraptions. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a little animal farm down in this little cove here. So basically I'm going to take out all these little trees and build some animal pens so we can start getting some meat and wool and all that good stuff going. I'm also going to tear out all the trees up here and put in a big crop farm. And then back behind the windmill, we're going to put in a automatic wood farm. So looking at our quest book, I think we're going to try to take this quest line all the way down. So all the way from automating logs all the way down to automating slabs. And then we're also going to complete our underwater garden task and basically automate kelp. So with those 2 things fully automated and our food situation sorted a little bit better, I think we'll be pretty good in the next episode to hopefully jump down into fully automating andesite machines. But without any further ado, let's get started building our farms. So with all of these trees that we have to clear for our projects today, one super cool trick that I'm sure a lot of you already know is that you can actually take the mechanical saw from Create, place it by a tree, grab a crank, and then just turn that crank. You can actually chop down trees all at once. And what's super duper cool about this is you can actually pick those back up, place it down on your next one, and you can actually connect trees together. So what I can do is I can place that here, and then just take some logs, connect those trees up, and then when I saw this one, it'll actually saw both of those trees. So as we go and collect more wood, we just kind of like connect more trees up together and very quickly just kind of level this whole forest. And this even works on these like tall, funky trees like this that are always a pain in the butt to chop down. You can see just like that, we fully chopped it down. Man, this is just a sad looking bird that I'm just taking away his home. Kind of makes you feel bad. And in just a few minutes, we managed to completely deforest almost everything around, and it looks really, really good. I am in love with the terrain variation we have around here, and it was all kind of hidden by the trees, so I'm really glad we took the time to actually take all those out, and now we can kind of plan our builds around like the really cool terrain and make sure that we have lots of like land variation and cool stuff going on with our base. So with all those trees taken out, we ended up filling our inventory up pretty quickly. So what I'm actually going to do is jump into the storage drawer mod. So with the storage drawer mod, essentially allows you to do is store bulk items in a single block. So each of these blocks can hold 32 stacks by default. You can actually upgrade these all the way up to 32 times base value. So to craft these, we need to craft these oak trims, which are just made by a chest, some zinc ingots, and some wood planks. So we're going to go ahead and craft up a few of those. So we can get 8 of those going, and then you put them in a stone cutter, or you use the create block cutting to get whatever type you want. So I think we're going to go for these doubles for now, and we can just put a few of them up in here. All you got to do to store stuff is just right click the slot you want it stored, and it will automatically put all of the items in that slot. And to take stuff out, all you do is shift and then click to take out a stack, or you can just click if you just want one at a time. But we're going to take all of our sticks out of there, put them in there, and then put our saplings in there. And we gotta make this at least somewhat organized. Keep the birch with the birch and the spruce or the oak with the oak. And now we have all that stored right up here in just those 3 blocks, and we have a nice clean inventory ready to start our projects. Alrighty, so we have our plot for our crop farm prepared. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a minecart harvester system. So I've got everything kind of set off to the side here that I need to make for that. And we have the technology to do all of this except the mechanical belt. So mechanical belt recipe has changed. Originally it was just kind of dried kelp, but now you need this cured rubber, which is made by smelting down rubber, which is made by either compacting vines in water, flowers in water, or like cabbage or whatever else, or by compacting this resin. I think this resin is going to be the easiest, like kind of permanent way to do this. I think temporarily, just to get us started here, we'll just compact some flowers. But once we start our tree farm, I think what we'll do is we make some of these arboreal extractors so we can start collecting some resin from trees and like start automatically compacting that, because we're going to need a whole lot of belts in this world, and having to go around and collect flowers for each belt we make is going to become quite a pain in the butt pretty quickly here. So just a little bit of a tip for you guys. Well, bone meal does work to grow these rose bushes, which is what I'm going to be using for crafting all of our rubber. You can actually craft this phyto grow, which is 2 apatite, a niter, and a piece of sand. And you get a ton of apatite down in the caves, and these actually work on the roses too. The cool part about these is they don't use it up every time you use it. So you can see I have 16, 15, 15, 15, 15, 14. So I just got 3 grows out of a single phyto grow. So I'll be able to use these to really get a whole lot of flowers going here by just crafting up a whole bunch of this phyto grow. Okay, so I was able to collect everything that we're going to need to get started with building our cart contraption. So to actually build our contraption, we have a cart assembler with a minecart in it. And then the first thing we want to do is craft a wrench, which is pretty easy to craft. It's just 3 gold sheets, a cog, and a stick. And then what we want to do is we want to go to this little box that's going to show up, and we want to scroll down to lock rotation. So that way when it gets to the end, it doesn't turn around, it just kind of heads straight back in the same orientation. On top of the cart assembly, we're going to place a chassis, and we're going to make that sticky by just using a slime ball and right-clicking it. The way I got this slime is I actually found a slime island, and basically that had a bunch of slime blocks on it that I was able to basically break and collect a bunch of slime balls. And now what we're going to do is we're going to place our harvesters. So by default, you can't actually just place the harvesters down. So we actually do have to place kind of like a little backing behind the harvesters, and once that's down, we can go ahead and place all of these on that backing. And then once those are all placed, we can just go back through and break all the wood behind that, and they'll actually stay in place. That way we don't have to have chassis going all the way down, we can just have the one chassis at the end. So now that that's done, we need to make sure these are all connected up. So to do that, you're going to grab your wrench, hover over your linear chassis, and it shows me that it's going out 8 blocks. We need this to go all the way to the end. So we're going to just scroll on this little number, and we scroll all the way to 16, and that way it's going to connect all of these harvesters with just a single chassis. Now on the other end, there's 2 things we need to do. First thing is we need to place a chest on the end, so that way it has an inventory. So as it goes down, back, and forth, it has a place to actually put all of the blocks and items it's collecting. And then on the end of that, we're going to put a portable storage interface, and that's what's going to actually be able to take the items from here and put them into our storage system. So we're just going to do that, and that way as it goes back and forth, it'll interface here and put the items back. So we can go ahead and flip this lever to test it out. You can see the interfaces right away, and oh, it looks like we're going to get stuck at the end here. So that's going to be a problem. So I think we're going to want to craft a controller rail if possible. But it looks like, okay, we do not quite have the technology for electron tube yet. So let me go grab some more rails, and we'll just do a bit of a ramp, and then it can go up the ramp and it'll kind of force itself back down. Okay, so apparently we do actually have some controller rails, and I think where we got those was from those mine shafts that I found a whole bunch of. I believe those have a controller rail at the top, which basically holds a minecart. So we can actually just grab that and put that on the end, and it'll work out for us. So let's get this cart out of our way. We'll put it in our controller rail, and now when it goes down and comes back, it'll automatically turn around and go back down. So it'll come this way, interface with our storage interface, hit the rail, and then head back. So our last step before we actually start putting crops in is to be able to take items from our cart and put them into a storage system. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to take a shaft and a belt. We're just going to have a belt go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. Now you can use as many as you want. I'm going to stick with this size because I think that's all the storage we're going to need. And I'm going to put a funnel on the back of this. So now once we power this belt, it'll be automatically taking items from our cart into our belt. Now to actually store those items, I actually crafted a few more of these storage drawers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place these on top of the belts. And I'll build a cute little building around this when we're done. And I can just place these going down like that, and then put the funnels on the back of that. And what that's going to do is it's basically going to automatically filter out into the storage drawers. So, for example, if we had a piece of wheat and a seed coming through, as it goes through here, if this drawer has a wheat and a seed, it'll go into this drawer. But if it had, let's say, carrots and potatoes, it would go skip this one and go into the next one. So not only will we have plenty of storage and be automatically taking stuff out, we'll be automatically sorting it too. So we just completed our first successful harvest of the farm, and it is looking pretty darn nice. So I finished kind of building up our little garden here. We've got our harvester line kind of like hidden in this little cove area, which I thought looked quite nice to kind of hide it away as it's kind of depositing items. Then we have our little garden here with everything that we had seeds for. So I think it ended up looking really, really nice. I decided to go for more of a kind of like local homegrown garden feel. I think as we kind of progress and expand, we'll do a more industrial vibe, but for now, I'm super duper happy with how this turned out. For our rice, which had to grow in water, we actually built this little pond. And for our sugarcane, we only want to harvest the top. So we actually have it kind of coming down here, and we have this little sugarcane cove where we're growing all of that. And I think it looks really nice. So I will let this finish processing all of the stuff we got. So it's just coming out of our cart contraption onto this line. And it's kind of just coming down here and being funneled into the next open spot. We do have a overflow chest at the end because I noticed when I was kind of setting this whole up that we do from time to time get buddy cards. So we want to have a place that isn't a storage door for those buddy cards, because if we have buddy cards, that'll take up a whole slot with just a single card. So we want to make sure that we're storing that somewhere other than in our storage drawers. So that was quite a successful harvest. So you can see some stuff like sugarcane, we got well over a stack, but everything else we got at least 32. So you can see up at the top in my Wayla, it actually tells you what you have. So I have 23 wheat, 24, you can see the number going up there. So I got at least half a stack of everything from just one harvest and over a stack of some stuff. So this will just kind of be running in the background, and I'll take a look at all the stuff we got and see what we can cook up. We might need to get some meat going first. So I'm going to try to get some animal pens down here so that way we have that available. But yeah, I think this little farm was pretty darn successful. And we finally got a second cow. Oh my god, that took forever. I ended up adventuring quite a lot. Like I went all the way up here, all the way over here. I ended up finding a cow like in this plains biome way up here. But we were able to get him home, and we actually got quite a bit of loot. I found a few of those mine shafts. We found that roguelike dungeon that we're going to be able to explore pretty soon here. But yeah, so now we got all of our animals. We'll slowly kind of breed these guys up and grow up a little farm. And it should work out pretty good for us. So our animal farm is going to take just a little bit of time to kind of get up to the point where we can start harvesting them for meat. So I was looking through the Farmer's Delight menu, I guess you could almost say, and kind of seeing what we can make now that actually has a pretty good food output. And what I found is that ratatouille actually gives a pretty decent amount of hunger and saturation, and it's beetroot, onion, tomato, and then any vegetable. So that's actually pretty cheap for us right now, and we're growing all of those things. So we're going to go ahead and grab a stack of each of those. So tomato, beetroot, onion, and then it was any other vegetable, and we're just going to grab potatoes because we have plenty of those. And to actually cook stuff with Farmer's Delight, what you need is you need a stove and a pot. So you just place down the stove, and then you place the pot on top of there, and then in the pot is where you do all the cooking. So I need to put bowls in this slot here, and I need to put all my ingredients in the space here, and you can see that it will slowly cook up our ratatouille. And that's going to be quite a big upgrade from our bread, so we can cook that up, grab it out of here, and start dining good. So this is definitely going to need a little more work, and we'll upgrade it as we go, but I think this is a good little start to our kitchen. And you can see that we are starting to get lots and lots of ratatouille. So the one issue with these is they do only stack up to 16. Also, as we eat them, we'll get bowls as kind of like an extra thing we need to keep in our inventory. But honestly, that's not too much of a trade-off from having so much saturation and then giving us the nourishment buff. The next farm I'm going to put together is the Kelp Farm. So I have this little spot prepared. We've got my little dock that comes out to this little farm, and we're going to do something a little bit funky with our kelp farm. We're actually going to be using a windmill bearing. Now the reason we're going to be using a windmill bearing is we won't actually have to power this at all. We can have it basically power itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to place down our windmill bearing and then make this sticky. And we're actually using a radial chassis on its side because I want the windmill kind of like sticking down below the water, kind of almost looking like it's almost like a blade. So we can connect up our mechanical harvesters here. And then I want to do my sails kind of like underneath that. It'll kind of look like it's all just kind of being pushed along by the sails, and I think it'll look kind of neat. So we shouldn't be able to activate this yet. First, let's make sure we're connecting everything up. We are. But you'll notice we are also connecting the ground. So we'll need to go through here and break all of the dirt underneath the sails temporarily. Now we should be able to, we got to take this stuff out too. And then we should be good to activate our bearing here. And it will start going around. Oh, we did get some dirt. Okay, let's stop that. So it looks like it was able to connect there for some reason. But it looks like we're good now. So this will just kind of go around. And I'm going to plant kelp on this bottom layer, and it should, when it grows, it should be harvested by the top layer. Last step is we just need to put a chest on it. So we are going to stop that again and just go on top. We'll do that, and then I don't have a chest, but we'll just put a chest right on there for its inventory. And then on the end over here, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our portable storage interface, put it like that. Then we're going to put our other portable storage interface here. And what we're going to do to connect this one up is we're just going to make this real simple. All we're going to do is put a hopper underneath this interface and then put a storage drawer underneath that. So we'll do a storage drawer down at the bottom here and then a hopper on top of that. And so what'll happen is it'll go down into the hopper and then down into our storage drawer. And then we can just come over here whenever we need some kelp and collect it right out of our drawer. So we can see as it kind of goes by, any kelp that's too tall it'll actually harvest. So you can see any of this kelp that has already started to grow. It will just harvest it as it goes past, and then when it gets around to our interface, it'll connect up, and then we can watch our kelp kind of go through our hopper down into our storage drawer, which we can then take out, and we will continue planting our field and just kind of fill this whole little space up. So I got everything that we need to set up our tree farm. So we're going to do this pretty similar to the crop farm, where we're going to have a rail and then just a section of land where it can plant the trees. And it's going to be very similar, but with one small difference. So we're going to place the mechanical saws down at the bottom here, basically in place of the harvesters, and these will chop down the whole tree. But then up at the top here, we need to place some deployers. And the whole point of the deployers is these will replant the saplings, because the saws break the trees and don't automatically replant the saplings. So what we're going to have to do is actually set our saplings to go in here. So all we got to do for that is right click a sapling on the filter slot. So that way, whenever it collects more saplings, it'll automatically go into the hands. And then you can just right click the hand to actually place the saplings directly into the hand. So then we're going to come over here and put on our portable storage interface. And then we will worry about the processing and storage of this in a bit, but we can get this started right now after we get our chest attached. So chest, portable storage interface, saws, deployers, looks like we're good to go. We can go ahead and turn this on and it will plant all of the trees. So here is our finished tree farm. So you can see it's having a little bit of trouble like fully keeping up, but I think it's keeping up well enough. So essentially what's going on is our portable storage interface is coming out of an andesite funnel down here. It goes up this belt, and then that goes into our storage and processing area. So it comes up the belt and then takes this turn. There you can see our little tree farm going away. So it kind of goes through all the trees, chops them all down as it goes. Anyway, so it comes up here, goes onto that belt, and then at each of these drawers, there's an andesite funnel behind it. And if that funnel matches the item, it'll actually go down into that drawer. So for example, our logs go into the log drawer. Now, something you'll notice is that we have all these other drawers down here. The reason for that is we want to automatically start processing all of this stuff down. So we're automatically making logs already. We want to be making stripped logs, planks, and plank slabs. So the way we're doing that is with an overflow system. So I'm just going to break this to kind of like emulate as if it was full. And the way this works is that as stuff goes by the belts, and if that funnel is full, essentially that drawer is full, it'll get funneled onto the saw. It'll get cut down into the next stage. So our logs turn into stripped logs, which turn into planks, which then finally turn into slabs. So the main drawback to this system is we really have to wait until this is full before we can start filling up these other ones, but I think that'll happen sooner than we think as we kind of do stuff in this world, because this thing works pretty darn fast. We're already at 15 stacks, and this has not been running for very long at all. So pretty quickly here we'll have a just about unlimited supply of all this stuff in these drawers. So I am really quite happy with how these turned out. We got an awesome kelp farm, an awesome crop farm, a decent animal farm, and then a really good tree farm, which is automatically processing down all of our wood. Now what I do want to do is I want to actually make little buildings. So I want to make some like houses for all of our animals. I want to make a storage shed over by our farm. And I want to make a sawmill building over by our wood farm, so that way we have all of our stuff kind of contained in like little aesthetic buildings. I think that'll look really cool in this area, and I really like the spaces they're all kind of located in. But I think that's going to have to wait till next time because we have to open our buddy card packs for the day. And as you may remember, in the last episode, we completed our base set card set. So the next set we have is the Farmer's Delight set. Not necessarily the next set, but it's the next one that we're actually starting to collect some cards for. So all of these cards we've got from our farm. It just automatically collects cards from time to time. But we've also got some of these buddy beans. And what we can use those buddy beans for is we can cook those down. So 2 buddy beans, 2 shredded buddy cards, some sugar, and some pork gets us a buddy card pack and a canvas. So I think we will try to craft up as many of those as we can. Looks like we have 21 buddy beans. So put one of those back, and we should be able to make 10 Farmer's Delight packs, which we can then take all of these and see where we're at in completing our Farmer's Delight set. So the pork and sugar are pretty easy to get, and then the buddy beans are just gotten from farming any Farmer's Delight crops. Then the last thing we actually need is we needed shredded buddy cards. There are 2 ways to do this. Either use crushing wheels, which we don't quite have yet, or you use a cutting board on any card and you get a shredded buddy card. So we're going to need 20 total shredded buddy cards, and luckily we have quite a few duplicates. So all we're going to do is take a bunch of these duplicates and then shred them down until we have 20 cards. So all you got to do is right click on a cutting board and then right click that with a knife, and you shred down the cards. Alrighty, so then all we got to do is we got to actually cook down our buddy cards. So we're going to place canvas in the slot here. We're going to get our sugar, our shredded buddy cards, our buddy beans, and our pork chops. And then it will slowly cook down into our card packs. Looks like that's going to take quite a while, so I'll get all of these extras put away, and then we will come back with all the Farming Delight cards we already have and see where we're at in completing the Farmer's Delight set. Okay, so from those 10 packs plus what we had in our farm, we're a good way of completing this set. So there's another 27 cards we do have to collect, and we've got 16 out of the 27 with quite a few of them being shiny. We also got quite a few extras that we can chop up to help make more of these Farmer's Delight buddy cards. Plus, we got a whole bunch of these buddy gummies, which we can apparently cut down into assorted buddy gummies and have a little bit of a food. 1, 2, looks like we have gummy 1, 3, 5, and 4. So maybe we'll just hang on to these and see if we can't collect the whole buddy gummy set as well as collecting all the other sets. Just want to say thank you guys for watching. In the next episode, we're going to try to kind of clean up our world a little bit, build those buildings I was talking about, and get andesite machines at least semi-automated. And it should be a pretty fun one. So if you guys want to see that, definitely hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.